This is a chapter from Flash Wisdom, a curated collection of mind-blowing, perspective-changing quotes, edited by me, Russ Kick. This is the chapter on others. And the first quote is from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Man is a knot, a web, a mesh into which relationships are tied. Only those relationships matter. From John Donne. No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. From Alfred, Lord Tennyson. I am a part of all that I have met. From Jane Howard. Call it a clan, call it a network, call it a tribe, call it a family. Whatever you call it, whoever you are, you need one. From Marcus Aurelius. We are born for cooperation, as are the feet, the hands, the eyelids, and the upper and lower jaws. From Jack Kerouac. The only people for me are the mad ones, the ones who are mad to live, mad to talk, mad to be saved, desirous of everything at the same time, the ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but burn, burn, burn like fabulous yellow Roman candles exploding like spiders across the stars, and in the middle you see the blue center light pop, and everybody goes, "Ah." From Luigi Pirandello. When you are in love with humanity, you are satisfied with yourself. From Helen Keller. I look upon the whole world as my fatherland, and every war has to me a horror of a family feud. I look upon true patriotism as the brotherhood of man and the service of all to all. From Goethe. When young, one is confident to be able to build palaces for mankind, but when the time comes, one has one's hands full just to be able to remove their trash. From Timothy Leary. If you want to change the way people respond to you, change the way you respond to people. From Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't take anything personally. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. From Balzac. Nothing is a greater impediment to being on good terms with others than being ill at ease with yourself. From a bumper sticker I once saw. The only common denominator in all your fucked up relationships is you. Walt Whitman. I have perceived that to be with those I like is enough. From Colette. There are days when solitude is a heady wine that intoxicates you with freedom, others when it is a bitter tonic, and still others when it is a poison that makes you beat your head against the wall. From Carl Jung. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. From Hemingway. The way to learn whether a person is trustworthy is to trust him. From Martin Luther. That which the sober man keeps in his breast, the drunken man lets out at the lips. Astute people, when they want to ascertain a man's true character, make him drunk. From George Bernard Shaw. Do not do unto others as you would expect they should do unto you. Their tastes may not be the same. From Craig Silvey. Sorry means you feel the pulse of other people's pain as well as your own, and saying it means you take a share of it, and so it binds us together, makes us trodden and sodden as one another. Sorry is a lot of things. It's a hole refilled, a debt repaid. Sorry is the wake of misdeed. It's the crippling ripple of consequence. Sorry is sadness, just as knowing is sadness. Sorry is sometimes self-pity, but sorry really is not about you. It's theirs to take or leave. From Benjamin Franklin. Never ruin an apology with an excuse. From Edward Herbert. He that cannot forgive others breaks the bridge over which he must pass himself, for every man hath need to be forgiven. From G.K. Chesterton. A stiff apology is a second insult. The injured party does not want to be compensated because he has been wronged. He wants to be healed because he has been hurt. This is a modified French proverb. To understand completely is to forgive completely. From Anthony de Mello. If you had never condemned, you would not need to forgive. From Confucius. Before you embark on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. From Marcus Aurelius. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. From G.K. Chesterton. Do not free a camel of the burden of his hump. You may be freeing him from being a camel. From Byron Katie. When I walk into a room, I know that everyone in it loves me. I just don't expect them to realize it yet. From an unknown person. People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. When you know which one it is, you will know what to do for that person. From Hermann Hesse. If you hate a person, you hate something in him that is part of yourself. What isn't part of ourselves doesn't disturb us. From Carl Jung. Everything that irritates us about others can lead to an understanding of ourselves. From Rumi. The fault you see in your brother is really in you. The world is a mirror. From Booker T. Washington. I permit no man to narrow and degrade my soul by making me hate him. From Carolyn Hacks. Whenever you have trouble with all group name here, it isn't about group name here. It's about you. I found this to be a useful self-diagnostic tool. From James Baldwin. I imagine one of the reasons people cling to their hates so stubbornly is because they sense, once hate is gone, they will be forced to deal with pain. From Ram Dass. When you know how to listen, everyone is the guru. From Bill Nye the Science Guy. Everyone you will ever meet knows something you don't. From Hemingway. When people talk, listen completely. Don't be thinking what you're going to say. Most people never listen. From Henry James. 3 things in human life are important. The first is to be kind. The second is to be kind. And the third is to be kind. From George Eliot. What do we live for if it is not to make life less difficult for each other? From Lewis Carroll. One of the deep secrets of life is that all that is really worth doing is what we do for others. From the Dalai Lama. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. From Rousseau. What wisdom can you find that is greater than kindness? From Henry S. Haskins. Treat the other man's faith gently. It is all he has to believe with. His mind was created for his thoughts, not yours or mine. From G.K. Chesterton. We are all in the same boat in a stormy sea, and we owe each other a terrible loyalty. From Charles Bukowski. We're all going to die, all of us. What a circus. That alone should make us love each other, but it doesn't. We are terrorized and flattened by trivialities. We are eaten up by nothing. Simone Weil. A hurtful act is the transference to others of the degradation which we bear in ourselves. From Richard Needham. The man who is brutally honest enjoys the brutality quite as much as the honesty, possibly more. From William Blake. A truth that's told with bad intent beats all the lies you can invent. From Yoko Ono. Try to say nothing negative about anybody for 3 days, for 45 days, for 3 months. See what happens to your life. From Erica Biken. Everyone in life is going to hurt you. You just have to figure out which people are worth the pain. From W.A. Nance. Never answer an angry word with an angry word. It's the second one that makes the quarrel. From Lemony Snicket. It is very unnerving to be proven wrong, particularly when you are really right and the person who is really wrong is proving you wrong and proving himself wrongly right. From Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. The longer we live, the more we find we are like other persons. From Robert Browning. I judge people by what they might be, not are, nor will be. From Maurice Maeterlinck. To be good we must needs have suffered, but perhaps it is necessary to have caused suffering before we can become better. From Somerset Maugham. I refuse to make a hierarchy of human actions and ascribe worthiness to some and ill repute to others. The terms vice and virtue have no signification for me. I do not confer praise or blame. I accept. From Victor Hugo. You have enemies? Why, it is the story of every man who has done a great deed or created a new idea. From Antisthenes. Pay attention to your enemies, for they are the first to discover your mistakes. From Longfellow. If we could read the secret history of our enemies, we should find in each person's life sorrow and suffering enough to disarm all hostility. From Lincoln. Am I not destroying my enemies when I make friends of them? From Rumi. Saints choose to think of everyone as their friend, so that hate does not get in their way. From Willa Cather. It's all very well to tell us to forgive our enemies. Our enemies can never hurt us very much, but oh, what about forgiving our friends? From Rochefoucauld. As rare as true love is, true friendship is still rarer. From Henry Brooks Adams. One friend in a lifetime is much. 2 are many. 3 are hardly possible. From Marlene Dietrich. It's the friends that you can call up at 4 a.m. that matter. From Somerset Maugham. It's no good trying to keep up old friendships. It's painful for both sides. The fact is, one grows out of people, and the only thing is to face it. From Cyril Connolly. The friendships which last are those wherein each friend respects the other's dignity to the point of not really wanting anything from him. From Mariama Ba. Friendship has splendors that love knows not. From Colette. Our perfect companions never have fewer than 4 feet. From Henry David Thoreau. I once had a sparrow alight upon my shoulder for a moment while I was hoeing in a village garden, and I felt that I was more distinguished by that circumstance than I should have been by any epaulet I could have worn. From Henry Beston. The animal shall not be measured by man. In a world older and more complete than ours, they move finished and complete, gifted with extension of the senses we have lost or never attained, living by voices we shall never hear. They are not brethren, they are not underlings, they are other nations, caught with ourselves in the net of life and time, fellow prisoners of the splendor and travail of the earth. From Jose Saramago. We never consider that the things dogs know about us are things of which we have not the faintest notion. From Willa Cather. One realizes that even in harmonious families there is this double life, the group life, which is the one we can observe in our neighbor's household, and, underneath, another, secret and passionate and intense, which is the real life that stamps the faces and gives character to the voices of our friends. Always in his mind, each member of these social units is escaping, running away, trying to break the net which circumstances and his own affections have woven about him. One realizes that human relationships are the tragic necessity of human life, that they can never be wholly satisfactory, that every ego is half the time greedily seeking them, and half the time pulling away from them. In those simple relationships of loving husband and wife, affectionate sisters, children and grandmother, there are innumerable shades of sweetness and anguish which make up the pattern of our lives day by day. An English proverb. He that has no fools, knaves, or beggars in his family was begot by a flash of lightning. From Gloria Steinem. Happy or unhappy, families are all mysterious. We have only to imagine how differently we would be described, and will be after our deaths, by each of the family members who believe they know us. From Ram Dass. If you think you're enlightened, go spend a week with your family. From Erica E. Good. Sibling relationships, and 80% of Americans have at least one, outlast marriages, survive the death of parents, resurface after quarrels that would sink any friendship. They flourish in 1,000 incarnations of closeness and distance, warmth, loyalty, and distrust. From Margaret Mead. Nobody has ever before asked the nuclear family to live all by itself in a box the way we do. With no relatives, no support, we've put it in an impossible situation. Richard Hoffman. When I have spoken of my family in the past, there is always someone who wants to know how such love and fury could coexist, and I don't understand the question. Families seem to me to be made of love and fury. The world is mostly water. We are mostly water. Life itself is mostly water, but we don't ask how such hydrogen and oxygen can coexist. We just drink it and live. From May Sarton. Family life. The United Nations is child's play compared to the tugs and splits and need to understand and forgive in any family. From John Wilmot, Earl of Rochester. Before I got married, I had 6 theories about bringing up children. Now I have 6 children and no theories. From Alice Miller. We don't yet know, above all, what the world might be like if children were to grow up without being subjected to humiliation, if parents would respect them and take them seriously as people. From Frank Zappa. The more boring a child is, the more the parents, when showing off the child, receive adulation for being good parents because they have a tame child creature in their house. From Alain de Botton. The art of parenting, how constantly to break a lot of bad news without destroying all confidence and hope. From Sam Levinson. The reason grandparents and grandchildren get along so well is that they have a common enemy. From Oscar Wilde. Children begin by loving their parents. As they grow older, they judge them. Sometimes they forgive them. From Mitch Albom. All parents damage their children. It cannot be helped. Youth, like pristine glass, absorbs the prints of its handlers. Some parents smudge, others crack. A few shatter childhoods completely into jagged little pieces beyond repair. From Betty Davis. If you have never been hated by your child, you have never been a parent. From Frank Pittman. The end product of child raising is not the child, but the parent. From Carl Jung. If there is anything we wish to change in the child, we should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could be better changed in ourselves. From Elias Canetti. Adults find pleasure in deceiving a child. They consider it necessary, but they also enjoy it. The children very quickly figure it out and then practice deception themselves. Wendy Priesnitz. Children don't need to be taught how to learn. They are born learners. They come out of the womb interacting with and exploring their surroundings. Babies are active learners, their burning curiosity motivating them to learn how the world works. And if they are given a safe, supportive environment, they will continue to learn hungrily and naturally, in the manner and at the speed that suits them best. From Frank Herbert. There is probably no more terrible instance of enlightenment than the one in which you discover your father is a man with human flesh. From Bertrand Russell. The fundamental defect of fathers is that they want their children to be a credit to them. From Anne Sexton. It doesn't matter who my father was. It matters who I remember he was. Eric Fromm. The mother-child relationship is paradoxical and, in a sense, tragic. It requires the most intense love on the mother's side, yet this very love must help the child grow away from the mother and to become fully independent. From Holbrook Jackson. A mother never realizes that her children are no longer children. From Anthony Brandt. Other things may change us, but we start and end with the family.